We got so much to cover today. So allow me to welcome our guests from the MRCU. They're here in the studio with us today. So we've got the core group. Hold on, Kevin. I'm going to switch out here so we can actually see you guys. There you go. Beautiful people from MRCU this morning. Good morning, everyone. Uh-oh, you sound muted. So just unmute yourself.
Good morning, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, so you got a whole team of looks like experts there joining you. So I must tell you guys, because Kevin is so familiar with the system, everything looks professional and everything looks great. So I see, Kevin, you've got the lab folks on hold as well. Wow, I'm so impressed. And then you've got some slides and videos and everything for us. So for those of you who don't know what MRCU stands for, it's the Mosquito Research and Control Unit here in the Cayman Islands, and they are celebrating today. Kevin, tell us what you're celebrating. Whoever wants to tell us.
Yeah, today is World Mosquito Day, and so this is something that's actually not brand new, but it wasn't something that a lot of people really realized existed. And so we want to make sure that now we want to make sure with the things going on in the world that we are making sure that we bring recognition to it. This has been going on since the 1897 is when World Mosquito Day first started up. And so we want to make sure that we are informing our residents of where we were to where we are now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when I heard of World Mosquito Day, I was like, wait a minute now. What are we celebrating?
Yeah. I got a fun fact for you, Sandy. Did you know that the Cayman Islands, right here in Grand Cayman, we actually hold the world record for the amount of mosquitoes captured in a trap? And we actually got a photo of it. Let me see if I could find it. Actually, I don't have let me see. I'm probably not able to pick. You can't do a JPEG. I'm going to have to message it to you, Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
But we actually have a picture of the world record right here that was captured many years ago.
All right, give me one quick second, Kevin. I understand we're not on radio, so let me just try to kick this in real quick. And then we're gonna come back to the interview. So let me just play some music, and then we're gonna kick it in. All right, folks, just want to make sure that everybody can hear us. Now, those of you in Radio Land are also tuned in as well, as we are acknowledging and celebrating World Mosquito Day, trying to keep mosquito numbers low. But tell us that little fun fact that you had there for us, Kev.
Yes, Sandy. So the Cayman Islands is actually the world record holder for the amount of mosquitoes captured in a trap overnight. So I sent you a picture. If you're able to pull that up real quick, that is actually a picture of all of those mosquitoes.
Okay, wait a minute.
It's a picture that I sent you. That's a different video.
Oh, is it a picture in the studio or?
I sent it to you on WhatsApp.
Oh, on WhatsApp. Okay, hold on one second. Let me see. So we have a world. This kind of doesn't surprise me, to be honest. I mean, yeah, I could see how this would be. Sometimes when we got there and they're swarming around, I could totally see, oh, wow, those are all mosquitoes. Oh, my God. Wow. Hold on a second now. Let's bring up this picture that Kevin has sent us. I got to do a close up of this. Check this out. Those are all mosquitoes in that pan?
Yes. And in fact, that is 793,103. And yes, that was hand counted.
I tell you what, I feel sorry for the person who had that job that day, or probably took him a couple days. Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, and that was back in 1974. Remember, the old people used to say that mosquitoes would smother cattle and other livestock. Well, that you can see why. You could absolutely see why.
Oh my God. And that was, what day was that? Is that August? I'm trying to look at the month on that picture.
It looks like the fifth.
Fifth is at 5, the 29th of 1974.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
It was in Bottom Town.
In Bodden Town. Well, it does make me feel better because at least back then they probably didn't have a whole lot to do with mosquito counting. It was the old version of bean counting. Gave them a little something to do for a couple days. Do you have any idea how long it took them to count those mosquitoes?
So Cole Morgan, he's one of our research officers, and he will be able to answer that because the same person that counted all those mosquitoes is one of them that actually trained Cole. So Cole?
Yeah, so back during those days, when they took them about 4 days to count it in total. They did it in big sections and kind of had to split it up, but the vast majority was one species. I believe it was Seniorhynchus. Yeah, Aedes seniorhynchus, which is one of our more common mosquitoes, the one that most commonly bites us. Yeah.
And of course, that one we know from a few years ago with Zika in particular is the one that tends to carry a lot of diseases and also flies around in the daytime.
Not this one.
Yeah.
Not this time. This
not this one.
No,
Okay.
this is the nuisance. This is the nuisance one. The ones that you are likely getting bit from most of the times that dusk and dawn. That's what those are. Those ones do not carry diseases to humans. So I'll get Dr. Wheeler.
Oh, okay. Which one is the daytime? That's the Aedes aegypti?
Yes.
Aedes aegypti is daytime. Now, this mosquito, Aedes seniorhynchus, it's our most common mosquito. It's call it a nuisance mosquito. It does transmit one disease, but it's to animals. It will transmit dog heartworm. That's the reason why it's important that people make sure that their dogs do receive regular dog heartworm treatment because the vector is very common.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a lot of mosquitoes, and no one else in the world has been able to beat that record.
Well, I don't think anyone wants to beat our record. We don't want to beat the record, that's for sure. I saw that Inspiring was asking, and I just brought the comment up on there that says, did they count the mosquitoes? Absolutely. Every single morning, we have a team that goes out. In fact, the team is right there in the lab. I'm going to go ahead and
yes. Oh, wow. Look at the lab team. I'm just going to scoot them over to the mean area here because I want to see. Wow. So they're tell us some of the stuff that they do there in the lab, Kevin.
Yeah, they actually count mosquitoes. And I'm going to ask Storm to come up. Storm, you can hear us, right? Yeah, she's going to come up over. And she's actually there counting mosquitoes. Right now, Whitney's the other person, and Everest, he's one of our researchers that's in the back behind that. Yeah, but Storm.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, absolutely. This is so cool. I think for most of our viewers, this is the first time they're getting a look in the MRCU lab. So tell us a little bit, Storm, about what you do in their lab. I see one of your coworkers, looks like she's counting mosquitoes.
So I am an entomology lab tech here, and so is Whitney Ebanks is also an entomology lab tech.
Okay.
And the is Everest, and he's one of our research officers.
Right.
So every morning we go around the island. We have 24 traps in total. We collect them, and we come here, freeze them, and we count them every morning.
Wow. I mean, someone wanted to know, this is Inspiring, says, how do they count the mosquitoes? I mean, you just manually count them.
It takes a long time to learn the different species on island. However, once you learn all of them, it becomes very easy to count.
So when you say once you learn all of them, you're talking about like mosquito types? Is that what you're also looking at when you're counting them?
Yes. On a day-to-day basis, we see around 18 species. But when it comes to all the islands across, we see around 23. They all have different variations of each other, and there's different parts to be able to identify them from each other.
This is really something. I mean, it's so fascinating to know that there's just so much about mosquitoes that we simply don't know, and that's why, of course, we've got the team there at the MRCU who are experts in mosquito control. So, Kevin, you've got a little graph here for us. Tell us what this is.
This is a little graph that shows kind of how successful of a year we're having currently. But again, I'm going to just open by saying as well that even though the numbers are lower than it has been previously, it does not mean that that can't change overnight. So while we're seeing that success, we've had a few things that helped us keep those numbers down, in addition to a lot of the things that we'll talk about later that we're doing that's science-based. But if you looked at last year's numbers, and so the graph you see there kind of looks at the last few years, back from 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. Those are the actual numbers of mosquitoes that were counted, broken down by month. And then below that, you'll kind of see the little graph, and you'll see at the bottom, you'll see on the graph that is a very low blue line that is way lower than all of those previous years. So our numbers are significantly lower. I know last year around this time, everybody was complaining how bad the mosquitoes were.
Yes.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you're not going to get bit right now. I mean, it's still possible, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a bit. But again, I think Chris wanted to add some stuff to it.
Sure. One thing, while we were talking about the lab and as they're counting mosquitoes, I just wanted to mention, some people ask, why do we even ID mosquitoes? If it's a mosquito, why does it matter? We want them all killed. But there's so many different types of mosquitoes, and some breed, some bite at night, and some bite during the day. Some breed in flood water, some breed in permanent water, some bite people, some don't bite people at all. They only feed on reptiles and other birds. And we need to know that in order to know the best way to go about controlling them. We wouldn't necessarily use the same products to control one that we would the other. Some mosquito numbers, if we're seeing them really get high, we may not do anything because there may be a species that really is only biting reptiles or other things like that. So identifying those different types of mosquito is very important to what we do.
Yes. So everybody is, I think, fascinated by this concept that you guys actually count mosquitoes. So Flora says, how do you count the mosquitoes? Do you separate them? And how do you know that you're not counting the same ones over and over again? So Flora, if you look closely at the lab text, you'll see there that she was actually putting them in different little categories. So they kind of, I mean, they take them, I guess, out of the trap, and then, they're looking at them individually and moving them over. It seems like quite an arduous task, to be honest.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and we have so many different things that's going on. This is just one element. So one of the things is, unlike many other mosquito control folks around the world, the way we do it here in the Cayman Islands is science-based. So some people, we got a mosquito problem. All they're going to do is go out there and just put chemical, fogging and spraying all over the place. That is not something that we do. We want to limit our environmental impacts, even though the products that we use are approved for safe use in the amounts that we're using it. We want to only use what we really actually need. So based on the data that we are collecting, we take that data, and then each morning we have what we call a toolbox talk, which is when we kind of go over our operations. And Leo over there is our operations manager, and pretty much the data that he gets from the lab, the data that he gets from our disease prevention officers. Andre will speak in just a bit. He's one of those boots on the ground that goes into the swamps and look at the type of larvae that's out there. He also surveils and do property inspections where they go into your yards, look for areas that would need to be taken out of the equation so we don't have mosquitoes breeding at people's homes. And we take all that data and come back. We have also people that call us, email us, message us on social media, or we also live in a community and we observe where bites are happening. And so based on that data, we actually take all that data together, and then we make an operations plan out of that for the day. We don't know if we're going to be spraying tomorrow or next week because we don't actually know until that data is actually in. So Leo, he's one of those folks that makes the decision with the rest of the team based on all of that data that is collected. So that's why I didn't want to just have one or two people. I want to have everyone represented from MRCU. We deal with mosquitoes. We have a research element. We have a control element, and then we all work as a unit.
Nice. Okay. Very good. So
for of course Leo and also Andre to kind of they haven't gotten an opportunity to say anything, but Leo, I know I kind of highlighted some of what you do, but he's also been here for a very long time. He's one of our longer serving employees and worked his way from the bottom to middle management. And so Leo, you want to have some words to say?
Yeah, I would like to say that I've been working with the mosquito research for 29 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to say is every time you see the plane out or the truck spraying, is a lot of work behind doors. This is not a decision that we just send trucks out. There's a lot of things involved, a lot of people involved, a lot of data collection. And like Kevin said, this is everyday work. I mean, we make decisions based on data collection, and every day midday, we meet together and make decisions what to pursue that evening. You know, if they decide to send the plane out, the trucks, etc. Yep. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of work behind those. Yep. Yep.
And then one of the things too, Sandy, is, sometimes we also get calls. Oh my God, someone said that MRCU's in my yard, and why are they there? Well, he's one of the people that has to deal with it, Andre. He wants to, appeal to the public and say, hey, we're legit.
Yes, yeah. I was seeing some of those calls coming in last week. Let's talk a little bit about that if we can, just to alleviate people's concerns. There was some concern in one neighborhood group. They were like, oh, are they allowed to do that? And I said, I'm sure if they weren't, they would not be in your yard. But Kevin, I know in the law, you guys are able to do that. But tell us a little bit about how your officers are out there doing their job. Do they work during certain times? Do they have on their government shirts and ID? I saw them drive around the vehicle. So it's not difficult to identify them, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah, they will have MRCU written on their shirt. Everyone's always in a uniform. They don't always necessarily wear the government ID, but they're in a uniform. They're in our vehicles. Typically, they'll go and knock on the door and let people know, hey, I'm going to be there. But remember, they're also doing this when most people are at work in the daytime. It's called domestic inspections. And so, Andre, you want to just kind of share a little bit of, kind of what, how you carry out your function.
Yeah, most definitely. So, guys, as a DPO, disease prevention officer, 90% of the time, whilst conducting yard surveillance, our main goal is to look for standing water, right? Because that's what mosquitoes breed in. So we'll go through your yard and search for buckets, plant pots, tires, etc., to try and control Aedes aegypti. And basically it's to mainly ensure and ascertain the breeding potential that your yard may have. And sometimes your yard may seem like it may not hold something, but trust me, we're trained to come in there and, really look around there and identify the hazards for you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so tell us some of the things that you're actually looking for. I mean, standing water is pretty obvious, but
Right.
Sometimes they're hiding out in other areas where you may not even recognize that there is a source of water or breeding ground for them. And so you're
Yeah.
really...
Precisely. A lot of the times, some of the ones that are not too obvious is they'll be in drains sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, gutters, sometimes cracked septics. That's also a very big issue we've been running into lately. And you may even think, as simple as it is, you may even have like a little small bucket with some water in it, for your plants, etc., a little drum or something like that. And there'll be larvae in there. In a few days, if the water is, not mixed with any chemicals or anything like that inside of it.
Yes. And do they like certain plants? Speaking of plants, are there certain plants that deter them, and then certain plants that actually attract them as well?
Yes, actually, yes. So mosquitoes, believe it or not, are quite picky creatures, and like plants that tend to have strong scents, right? For instance, citrus, mint, citronella, those kind of trees like that. Mosquitoes really won't mess with them. But aquatic plants, quite obviously, they favor those. We have a species known as Vandusiae.
Yeah,
Maya Vandusiae, which actually burrow into the roots and up some trees, right? And bromeliads, and also bromeliads.
Yeah, so I was just mentioning bromeliads.
Yeah.
Oh, so they attract mosquitoes.
Bromeliads, yes.
Bromeliads do. And there's also an ornamental plant called lucky bamboo, and that's it's very commonplace to find Aedes aegypti. Now, Aedes aegypti is our main disease-transmitting mosquito here.
Yes.
It's the one that can give you dengue, it can give you Zika, chikungunya, a whole range of other viruses. And that really is the focal point of our DPO work, is that we're trying to control what's called a domestic mosquito. It's called domestic because it's found breeding in and around people's houses. It doesn't travel very far, but it breeds in any container in your yard that can hold water. It could be a natural container like a coconut shell. They can even breed, if there's water in a bottle top, this mosquito can breed in that. Children's toys are another common place. Now, from a health point of view, the public can really help us with this particular mosquito just by surveying their own yards once a week, just looking for any containers that can hold water. Now, really, with the other mosquito you saw, the Aedes teniorhynchus, the public's main help with us there would just be to be patient when it comes off after rain or high tides. It's going to take MRCU just a couple of days to get things back under control. There's no way of avoiding that, and the public can't really assist us with that mosquito other than stay out of its way while it's active. It's active it's very specific in its time, and it's active 15 minutes after sunset for a 2-hour period.
And on that note, Sandy, when we are doing like our ground fogging, that's when the trucks are going out there fogging, as well as when the airplane is flying in the evening, we start those operations 15 minutes after sunset. So when folks want to know, when we're doing that, because some people don't want to be outside when those operations are going on, we do have several platforms that we actually use to inform the public. So we post it on our Facebook and LinkedIn page. I'm also going to send you, Sandy, a link, if you could post that in the chat for me, which is our WhatsApp channel. We've launched a WhatsApp channel recently where we will also post information there. And then sometime in the not so distant future, we don't know the actual launch date because we're still testing it out, but we are also going to be launching a app that you can download from the store that will allow you to also get notifications as well. But we're not quite ready for launching that. We still have to work out a few bugs and stuff, but once that is ready for download, we will certainly make sure that we let everyone know that it's available to download. But in the meantime, we ask that everyone please follow our WhatsApp channel. I just sent it to you. You can post that in the chat for me, Sandy, as well as our Facebook and LinkedIn pages.
Yes. Okay. There's a link. Strong Will says, Sandy, they love to be in the grass. Miss Lucille, good morning. It says, tell Kevin these days was good. We don't have money for destroyer. They fall from the breadfruit trees to make up our smoke pan. Yeah. So back in the old days, I guess that was their method of mosquito control. Good morning to Fresh Joe.
And Dr. Wheeler had something he wanted to add as well.
Yeah, I was just going to add that the comment about the mosquitoes loving to be in the grass, that's one particular species, and it's our biggest mosquito. It's called a Saurophora mosquito. It's a grass breeder, and it will sit and wait in the grass until someone walks past, and then it will bite you any time of the day. We get a lot of complaints about that mosquito, just due to the sheer size of it.
Wow. Okay. Now, someone has shared a picture with us, and I want the young man there who does the site visits to take a look at this. I'm sure he runs across these types of situations all the time. So we have here someone who is saying that this is their cesspool that their contractor dug 9 months ago, and it's still like this. And she says that it's a breeding ground. And she goes on to say that this is a government project and the ball has been dropped so many times. They're building a low-income home on my land. Oh my Lord. So when things like this are happening, how do you help people? What suggestions and recommendations? Obviously, this is a huge problem.
Well, looking at it there, you said it's a dugout cesspool, I believe. Yeah. Okay, so if it's deep like that, we use tablets called Natural DT. We put them in there, we pop in probably 2 or 3 inside of something like that. But the species that you're mainly going to be dealing with from that is going to be culex or probably anopheles, because now it's technically a permanent water source. You know, it's a hole with deep water. So for that, you're going to definitely need to either, if you want it permanently gone, you're going to need to either cover it, or I would suggest they get it filled or drained. I'm not really even sure, you know, but for us, for the mosquito control aspect, we can definitely put some chemical in there to deter larvae and any mosquitoes from breeding inside of there.
So one of the best ways to get rid of a mosquito source is one component of what we call an integrated mosquito management program is source reduction. That's the best way to get rid of a breeding site. And a lot of our DPOs, as they're out, they'll do that. If they can empty a container out without applying any product, that's the best way to do it. So, you know, temporarily, as you know, the public can let us know about sites like this, and we can help and we can treat, you know, while we're looking for maybe a more permanent solution to get rid of it. But please call us and let us know of any questions.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, we do have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Yes, I live at 16 Heaven Close, Tonal Road. About 2 months, this pit is busting in the yard, and I cannot believe that we are paying our rent and the landlord not doing nothing. The yard is so stink.
So you said the cistern has burst in the yard.
Yes, and over 2 months, and she's collecting rent. And when we talk, she come like she want to fight.
Okay. So, I see what you're saying, but this isn't directly related to mosquitoes, or I guess this mosquitoes might be attracted to what's coming out of the cistern as well.
Yeah, out of the pit, and the place is very stink.
Okay.
All right.
I tell you what, we're gonna give you just send me a WhatsApp number with your call, because I think we have a couple issues coming out of this, which we will discuss after our guests have left the studio. But let me ask them a mosquito related question in relation to that, and then send me your number and we'll call you back as well. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, ma'am. Just send it on the WhatsApp. Don't give out your number in the air.
Okay. All
okay.
Right.
All right. Thanks, dear.
Yeah.
All righty. All right. So, busted cistern would definitely be a source, I would assume, of, you know, mosquitoes being very attracted to that situation.
Oh, and hey, Sandy, I noticed there was a comment from a Jaheim Hales asking what is daily life in the lab like, and she's a science student. So I actually started at MRCU as an intern back in 2017 after my freshman year of university. And I worked as an intern for about 4 summers after that, and then I actually started as a temporary DPO and then a full-time DPO, so I did Andre's job as well. And then now I actually just started as a research officer. And in the lab, it's honestly a lot of fun. So there's a certain amount of staff go out and collect the traps in the morning, and then as Whitney and Storm are doing right now, so they would go out and collect and then count them. As you can see, Everest is actually back there calibrating pipettes, which we use for all kinds of scientific experiments. They're really fancy things that can pick up very small quantities of water when we're trying to get really small quantities of chemical formulated stuff like that. Other stuff we do a lot of research projects. We're actually just starting up our research program. Or start up reinvigorating our research program. And we got a brand new senior research officer who's really, really smart and really good at his job. So stuff is looking up in the lab. And for a suggestion for him, if he would want to go, is maybe try the next summer around, try and get in some of the internship programs and see if you can apply it to here. And have a couple folks in the lab over the summer.
Wow. Okay. So that's fantastic. So lots of opportunities there, Jaheim, for employment, internships, and so on. Dee Dee has a question. So she says, I have a question. At times I can be amongst others and it's only me that they bite. Why does this happen? Can you give me any info on why this happens if possible? So there's actually now more and more scientific research that is coming out about why mosquitoes are attracted to certain people. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So mosquitoes are attracted on humans with, I think it's 4 main things. So you got CO2, carbon dioxide, basically when you're exhaling, they can smell that and they follow that. Body temperature is another one. So if you've just worked out and you take a break or something, they're more likely to approach you. Certain people, now why certain people are different is because everybody's body's different and they smell different things in your sweat. There's a couple different compounds that they go for. Also, there has been some stuff on blood type, but it's not very conclusive. And then also a darker colored clothing they like a lot too. They prefer darker colored clothing. And yeah, certain fragrances as well, like sweet smelling stuff, because all mosquitoes actually have to eat sugar in order to survive. And only the females bite humans. So they take a meal for their eggs. They just need the proteins from your blood to make their eggs.
Yeah, so there's a whole interesting thing. I'll post this. It was in the science.com online publication, but you're absolutely right. Everything from your skin microbes to, you know, if you are sweeter, you're tastier to them. In fact, some new research has really been supporting that, and your body temperatures and so on. So possibly, you know, you're just delicious to the mosquitoes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and apparently different types of mosquitoes prefer they're attracted by different things as well. So the best way though to prevent a mosquito bite is to simply arm yourself with a good mosquito spray.
Yeah, well, the best way as well too is that source reduction that Chris was talking about. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of getting bit, you know, it's good to try to avoid being outdoors at certain times when they're really biting more. But we also understand that that's not 100% practical with the lives we live. We're busy people. So yes, you know, we want to try to reduce the time if possible. But if not, you know, mosquito spray that contains DEET is one of those things that some people can wear, but not everyone wants to put that on their bodies as well, which we understand. So, you know, you don't have to kind of adjust your lives based on you know, how you want to live it. So I got a couple videos, Sandy, that I would love to also show that kind of shows some more of the research that goes on, because again, we really care about our environment and make sure that we're not causing any significant environmental impacts. And again, we always want to make sure that we're doing things correctly. We never want anyone to point a finger at the MRCU saying it's because of you all I got X, Y, and Z. So one of the things that we do is something called an insecticide droplets characterization test. And so I'm going to go ahead and just like play this video that kind of shows how we identify exactly, you know, that we're doing things correctly.
Here we just finished one more research of MRCU, the Mosquito Research and Control Unit. We are testing now the droplet size and intensity and frequency that we beat the soil. So we measure the wind, we have these spinners, which is our equipment that is keeping rounding and collecting these droplets, and then we go to the lab to check. So we can measure and guarantee an accurate treatment, safe and efficient for the environment.
So here we are with our slides from the field. We are reading them under the microscope with the UV light. There's a fluorescent dye on the chemical that was on the slides, and now we're reading it with the software to get accurate readings on the size of the droplets.
So one reason we do this is to find the proper droplet size. If droplets are too small, they can drift out of the target area and not kill the mosquito, or they could carry a sublethal dose of product that could help build up resistance in the mosquito if it doesn't kill the mosquito. Droplets that are too big are not going to drift through the target area. They may go right to the ground, and that's not good because you could potentially impact beneficial insects or non-targets that are foraging in the area.
All right, so there you go. Kevin, I just had muted your mic for a second there, so I was getting some feedback. But very, very interesting to know how much science is behind all of this. I think, you know, we kind of had some ideas in our head in terms of how this works, but I'm not so sure that we understood that there's a lot of science behind what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, when I first took on this new job, I was like, so amazed at what was going on behind the scenes. I had no clue. Literally, I thought, just like probably most people thought, that we pretty much just the MRCU would just go out and just spray and
everything.
I had no clue that we had so much science going on behind the scenes. Now I definitely appreciate the hard work that goes on.
Wow. So Lily says that there's a house behind her home. They have going on like a party in Windsor Park. It's a dirty pit water. So I don't know what the pit water is being used for. But tell us now, when you have a situation like we and the other person, where there is a source of stagnant water, how can they reach out to your team there at MRCU to have them do a site inspection? And do you just treat the water, or do you also work in conjunction with maybe the planning department, DEH, to see if certain properties, especially if they're derelict properties, are not being kept up to standard, how you can help get rid of the source of the breeding ground?
I'll start off with part of the question, then I go to Dr. Wheeler to kind of follow up. So in terms of contacting us, so mrcu@gov.ky, if you email us, that is one way. You can also give us a phone call. Again, just Google our number. Most people can't probably just remember it if I spit it out, but just Google the number, MRCU, you'll be able to get it. As well as if you message us on our social media platforms, I definitely monitor that and I'll pass that information on. If you see our disease prevention officers out and about in the community, you could report it to them and they will bring that data back to Leo, and Leo will make sure that that is also logged. And as well, what people could also do in the future is download our app, and then there will be a way that they could report it from the app. But again, that is in the future, not so distant future that is, but that is something that is coming on. And then I'll pass it on to Dr. Wheeler for the other part of the question.
I think the second part of the question, we do work closely with other departments, public health and departments of environmental health. If we find a yard or residence that's giving us a persistent problem that we're unable to deal with, then we will seek assistance from one of these other departments to deal with the situation.
All right, very good. So Zoe has some recommendations here. Zoe Foster says plant orange jessamine. Mariah, Zoe, you're getting too scientific. Basically, lemongrass, she says, place in water storage. And the example, others are lemon bay rum, citronella plants. So that's why you have the citronella candle, because obviously citronella works to repel them. Lantana, rosemary. And she's given a link here where you can find some good mosquito repellent plants. I think the key thing here for sure, and she's also making some recommendations and how you can make some homemade rosemary clove spray. And she says that it works. So listen, folks, there's lots of options available. And I think what you want to do, even when you're looking at your landscaping, is you don't want to plant things, obviously, that are going to attract mosquitoes. You want to do the opposite. And then you do have some amazing, sort of home remedies here that you can use to keep them away from you. And the great thing too, Zoe, about this is even commercially on the market, there are some, sort of environmentally friendly and human friendly products that you can now get as well. So very good.
And Sandy, I also have one other video, my last video that I want to play, but this is someone like Andre's team, when he's out, the disease prevention officers, going and doing yard surveillance. And this video also somewhat highlights, I know the radio listeners can't see it, but please go back and watch it later on. It's also posted, will be posted on our social media site, but pages that is. But it shows kind of different things that people just have in their yards, that some of the things that they're looking for.
Okay, so currently we're conducting yard surveillance in order to ascertain the breeding potential in the individual yards here. Over here, what I've noticed is we have this boat here holding standing water, and it was breeding Aegypti, Aedes aegypti, dengue fever mosquito. So we went ahead here and administered some Natural R G30 to go ahead here and get rid of this larva here. So we just mainly conducting some yard surveillance to make sure everything is copacetic.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, that's so some of the things that our disease prevention officers are doing out there. Again, they do swamp inspections, so they put on their big old boots and go up inside that muck and get dirty as well. There's another part of MRCU that I also want to make sure that we highlight is, yes, we use chemicals and stuff, but there's also a green aspect, and Andre actually is on a committee, and he could kind of talk more about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's called the MRCU Environmental Sustainability Initiative. So basically, we're focusing on making everything greener and to sustain and preserve the environment for the future generations to come. What I'm doing here at MRCU, we actually have a green team, and what we do is we have monthly meetings and we discuss all of the things that we can change and implement in order to save energy, we look at the chemicals, etc., which I would like to say are quite ecologically sensitive despite the common conception. However, we still work forward with the green team here. All of our lighting, all of our equipment is running on renewable energy. We're actually looking forward to getting some solar panels, and it really works out nicely because, as I said before, we really want to try to sustain things and keep everything moving forward, preserving our island.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Wow, beautiful. Well, Kevin, people are very, very interested in today's topic. This person says their job looks so interesting. I want to switch jobs. And I did the little emoji face. I'm like, oh my God. This person is a school teacher. I'm like, don't switch jobs. We need teachers.
Well, I'm going to be coming to the schools very soon because this stuff is exciting. I did not really, like I said, before I took on this position, I didn't realize how much amazing things is going on behind the scenes. And I was never really that big into science in school, but I guess the teachers at the time were making it as exciting as it can be. But my goodness, the scientists and stuff that I work with here, it's amazing. And I think Dr. Wheeler had something he wanted to chip in on.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about some of the other aspects of our control as well. It's not just chemical control that we do. We have a biological control component with our Gambusia fish. They're widespread across the island now. I think back in the 70s and 80s, they were actually dropped out of helicopters in bags to seed the whole island with these mosquito fish. They're very effective at controlling mosquito larvae. We also do something called physical control. You go up to Barkers, you'll see all our canals and dike roads. They were all constructed to manipulate water levels, which allows MRCU to basically flood an area of swamp to hatch the eggs. And then once those eggs have hatched, we will open the floodgates and all the water will flow out, taking the mosquito larvae with it. So it's a very cheap and effective way of controlling mosquito larvae, and it's very environmentally friendly. I think one of the misconceptions of MRCU as well is that we just randomly pour out chemicals, whereas most of the people in the department here, if not all the people, are very environmentally friendly. We care about the environment, and that's why we're always looking at new ways to improve the safety of what we're doing. That's why we've started the green team. We really do care about the environment and the impact we're having on it. So mosquito control is needed, but it needs to be done in a way that's sustainable and friendly to the environment. We don't want to be affecting any other insects or animals with our control operations.
Yes. All right, a few questions coming in. This person says, if property owners have stuff that's harboring the mosquitoes, do they notify the owners to get rid of the danger? So again, this kind of goes back, I think, to the question that, I was asking earlier. What other agencies do you work in collaboration with? And do you actually post notifications for the property owners to let them know that they've got something on site that is harboring the mosquitoes?
Yeah, so the different agencies that we do work with, the Department of Environmental Health, as well as if DOE sometimes might be potentially in there. There's also public health. So, we're part of the government, we're a department within the government. So we do have different peer agencies depending on what the actual issue is that we will be able to liaise on. But the first thing is communicate the issue with us. or whichever department you think is the most appropriate. And if it's not exactly our area, we will certainly help you forward it on to another agency that might be the responsible agency. So everything is, has to be looked at individually. It's not like a one-size-fits-all type of thing. We have to kind of know the details, put our eyeballs on it, and then from there we can make a recommendation. And of course, sometimes just us talking to, someone could help. It could take care of it from that point, or it could mean that someone else has to talk to that person or the person that controls that property. So everything's case by case.
All right. We do have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to Mosquito Resorts. I need a big amount.
Yes. Good morning. How are you?
Doing not too bad. They're doing a fantastic job. Up in here, I don't have too much problem right now, but when they come out, all I got to do is call Leo. Big up to him. And he is on ready to all the army that want him have to move to Florida because somebody called me. But up in prone as a mosquito thing, but that's one thing I could say with Leo. Anytime I call, he's tell me the plane coming out, or he's sending that truck up in him. So big up to him. Doing a very good job.
Well, I know where they went. They didn't go to Florida. Mr. Goodlook said apparently they traveled all the way to the UK because
somebody got almost ate in their yard the other day. They said that's the most mosquito. And I said, well, they first pick up. Then they say, yeah, from one drought they had down in some pond and now it's down water and they must be harbored. But every I goes outside and anything that I see, like that boat, whoever that was, they should have turned that boat over because yes, if it get water, it can have a mosquitoes. If I got a little or a little pan out there and I see water in it, I turn it up because it do have a mosquitoes. What's wrong with people?
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Shelma. We appreciate it.
And they could be bad. Then the saltwater gym can sting for months.
Thank you, my dear. All right.
It's so important to every week, just take a walk around your property. Anything, any water in, turn it over. It's very simple. Just one time a week, we're asking, just do that, and that's going to help everybody. And most likely, if you are bitten by a mosquito, the Aedes aegypti mosquito, most likely it's in your yard that mosquito was born or your neighbor's yard. They do not travel very far. It's 100 meters. That's all they go. 100 meters is not very far. So if you are getting bit at your home from a mosquito born in your home, you're the one responsible for it.
All right. Urban Thread says, good morning, Miss Sandy and the MRCU panel. Apologies if this question has already been asked. Can the panel advise why does the mosquito spraying via plane happens very early in the evening? For example, persons are either exercising or in their yards and are really not sure if the spray is toxic. So let's talk about this because, we grew up back in the day hearing that when you heard that plane coming, you ran inside and took cover under the bed. So, I know there's a reason why you time it. So let's answer that first. Why do you do it at the time of the evenings that you do it? And sometimes you do it in the mornings as well?
Yes, we can do it in the morning. This mosquito species, the main nuisance mosquito, Aedes aegypti, it's very specific on its activity.
Right.
It's active 15 minutes after sunset, typically for a 2-hour period. It can be out longer than that if the numbers are really high. So our control operations are timed to coincide with the peak activity of the mosquito. So it's an early evening peak, 15 minutes after sunset, and also 15 minutes before sunrise. So we have 2 opportunities a day to target it. The early evening peak is bigger, and that's why we send the aircraft up at that time. It's
right.
There's also physics concerns about droplets. They have to leave the aircraft and drop to the ground. Now, if it's in the daytime, heat rising from the ground will take the droplets away from the ground. So that's another consideration of why we can't spray in the daytime. But
Yeah, and there are 2 things, the 2 terms that we want people to get familiar with. This larviciding and adulticiding. So adulticiding, those are for adult mosquitoes, flying mosquitoes that are mature enough to fly around and bite us. So the way we control those type of mosquitoes are different than larviciding. So when we're doing adulticiding, that is typically done, again, when you see that aircraft flying right after 15 minutes after sunset, or when the foggers are going out doing the ground operations, that is when we're adulticiding. Larviciding is when we're dropping from the aircraft, more or less, these little pellets into the swamps. That's not spraying blanket all over the place. That is specifically, we have GPS on a different technology on the aircraft that knows where our swamp locations are, and that is dropping these little droplets into the swamps to kill juvenile mosquitoes, which is when they're in the larvae state, and then that stops them from becoming adults.
Something else I'd like to mention too, sometimes I've seen in my past experience in mosquito control, aerial mosquito control can get a bad reputation because you see agricultural type spraying where they're spraying right over the tops of products and they're spraying gallons per acre that they want to get on that plant. Well, we don't want our product to deposit on anything. So we may spray, our application rate is reduced to the point where we're putting out less than the amount you would see in a shot glass over an entire acre. So less than 1 ounce per acre. And only a part of that product, only a part of that ounce is actual product. The rest is a diluent, which in our case is water. So we really reduce that application rate in really, really small droplets that are smaller than the size of a human hair. So small droplets that are designed to only impact that flying mosquito. So the application rate is really reduced and we are only targeting that flying mosquito. And when you're applying it the right way at the right time of day, there's really no unreasonable adverse risk to any humans or non-targets the way it's being applied.
And that goes back to the first video that I played with the characterization. So the way that we make sure that we are doing it based on what we are targeting is by having those spinners that you saw in that video, where we do a test run of them dropping over an open field. And then based on that, they bring those little samples back to the lab. They look at it through the little microscope. And then based on the size of the droplet, we know that whether it's too big or if it's too small, or if it's in that range that we are saying this is a success.
And then in terms of what's in the pellets from a health perspective, I know you said that obviously, it's been signed off as safe. Are there any concerns? I know years ago there were concerns or being raised about exactly what chemicals were in those. So can you address that a little bit to help alleviate some of our concerns today?
Okay, I'll talk about the main chemicals. Our main larvicides. Probably the most environmentally friendly of all the chemicals we use would be a chemical called Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis. Now, that's a bacteria very specific to mosquitoes and other flies. So it has zero effect on humans. It will not kill beetles or butterflies or any other insects. It's so specific to what are called dipteran flies. So that one is probably the safest of all our products. That's a larvicide. Then the majority of our insecticide budget is spent on two chemicals. One of them is called spinosad, which it's really a sugar. It was first discovered in an abandoned rum distillery in Jamaica. It's a sugar that is toxic to mosquitoes. Again, it's not toxic to humans. The third most common product we use, larvicide-wise, is called methoprene. Now, this is a mosquito hormone. It works by mosquitoes to develop from a larvae to an adult. The level of this hormone must drop. So what we do is we put out in our pellets more hormones so they stay as larvae. They don't develop into functional adults. So again, that has it's not going to have any bad effects on humans. And they're all considered to be biorational mosquito control products in that they are the most environmentally friendly and safest chemicals available. So now our adulticides, every adulticide we use has been approved by the US Environmental Protection Agency. And we continually look at our product. We make sure that we have them characterized correctly. So we've got the right droplet size going out. we make sure that all our applications are within what the label, every chemical will have a label that mandates exactly how you're able to apply it. We are in full compliance with those product labels. And that's why it's so every chemical, we are continually working towards any new products that come out. We evaluate them in terms of safety and operational effectiveness. So there's a lot of background work with the chemicals that we choose, and we do choose primarily on safety.
All right, so we have a comment that came in. This person said, I'm really happy to see all the Caymanians involved and hear them speak about this topic. They go on to say, good morning. It's nice to hear Andre, Storm, and Kevin speaking. Of course, the others as well. But to see our people involved and sharing their knowledge is awesome.
Hey, cool. Yeah, doing that. Hey.
Sorry, who else was that?
Cool.
They got that as well. Exactly. So another comment coming in here from Kelly. Kelly says, a huge thank you to all of the incredible staff at the MRCU for the amazing work they do every day. Your dedication and hard work are truly appreciated by everyone. Keep up the good work. So I think that today should be, instead of it being World Mosquito Day, it should be, appreciation of the workers that are out there, all of you that are doing your individual parts that collectively make sure that we can try to keep mosquitoes under control. Many years ago, I was reading a book. I forget what the title of it was, but it was like all these facts things that you just didn't know that was so incredibly interesting. And one of the things that said about mosquitoes is that the number of mosquitoes that have, or the number of people that have died from mosquito-borne diseases, so we're talking about everything that they put out there, is more people than all of the world wars and everything combined. So, more than like World War I, World War II, like the major civil wars, because mosquitoes carry so many different diseases that impact humans in particular, and even our dogs and stuff as well. So the control of mosquitoes is extremely important, obviously.
Yeah, and Dr. Wheeler has something he wants to add in there.
Yeah, I'd just like to give a shout out to our frontline workers, the disease prevention officers. These guys are out in the field every day. They're out in the hot sunshine doing really physical demanding work. They're entering into yards they're at risk from dog bites and other dangers. So I'd just like them to know how much we appreciate them.
Yes, absolutely. And it just turns out that those little critters, as small as they are really, such amazing transmitters of infectious diseases. And I just had a little bit of a list here. I want to remind people of exactly what mosquitoes do. Obviously, they bite you, so they're literally drinking blood. And then, they can pass that on to other individuals. And we're talking about everything from malaria, dengue fever, West Nile virus, chikungunya, yellow fever, Zika. What are some of the other major ones that I'm missing out here? And the new ones that we're watching now, they were on the show yesterday talking about, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember the name of it now.
Arapucci.
Yes, the Arapucci virus as well. So that's another one that, mosquitoes are obviously out there transmitting. So roughly 390 million people are infected every single year with dengue, and hundreds of thousands of others are infected by Zika, chikungunya, and yellow fever. And then there's all these other things. So they do their job extremely well. Let's put it that way. Of carrying, these mosquito-borne diseases, really.
Yeah, for sure. See, right now in the dengue, if you look at what's going on in the region, just kind of Google it, and you'll see, a lot of places are having a terrible time with it. It's really at the highest levels. And this is, if you just go to the World Mosquito Program.org, and I do have that pulled up right now. It says 2024 is the worst year for dengue cases on record, and there have been more than 11 million cases reported from 80 countries. And so, we do have to keep a good eye on it. Mosquito-borne illnesses, just like you were saying, Sandy, killed more than 1 million people, infect up to 700 million each year. So, when it comes to what Cayman is doing, we are doing an excellent job at keeping our residents safe. But again, we can only do so much at MRCU. There's a large part of it It's really those at home taking away anything from, causing additional mosquitoes from breeding. Like I said, the mosquitoes that typically carry those diseases, the Aedes aegypti, that is born in people's backyards, right in their own properties, at home, or even their neighbors. So if you see a neighbor that has a yard that needs to clean up, and I hope you have a good relationship with your neighbor, speak to them, explain to them, you want to reduce our chance of getting bit by mosquitoes? Let's do a weekly cleanup. And I think Cole had something he wanted to add.
Oh yeah, just pertaining to those two species we got. So Aedes aegypti, obviously the dengue fever mosquito, they behave differently. So you got Aedes aegypti and Aedes tenurensis. So Aedes tenurensis, that common one that's all over the place, I equate it more to like an angry pit bull. Like it's gonna rush at you and bite you. It's not really gonna think about it. The aegypti, they're almost crafty. Like I don't know if you've noticed you get bit on your ankles or your lower leg. Where's the least place you're gonna smack? Like they go there and they meander their way. They don't really fly straight to you. They kind of go like, take their time. They're really slow. And then you almost don't even notice until after they're there. And
They're
then,
stealth.
yeah, they're very stealthy.
Wow. So Inspiring has a question. My goodness, looks like you guys are going to be here all morning, but I know you've got work to do. So we're going to start to wrap it up a little bit. But Inspiring says, question, what are the emerging threats in terms of mosquito-borne diseases due to climate change or other global factors? So that's a very good question. Are you seeing, I think because you have better control mechanisms, you're able to do more, but do you think that climate change and these other, elements are having some impact on the ability for mosquitoes to reproduce more effectively and quicker, probably?
Development is one of them.
Well, they're developing faster. Also, just changes in weather patterns. Like last year was a very bad year for us. Due primarily to the change in rainfall patterns. Normally we have a dry season that runs from December to May. We didn't get that last year. We had rain the whole time. And every time it rains, more mosquitoes come off. If we don't kill those mosquitoes straight away, each one that survives can lay 100 eggs. So the next time round, the problem is 100-fold bigger. So yeah, environmental changes are a big concern to us. There's also re-emerging diseases. Dengue is considered to be a re-emerging disease. There's all sorts of other viruses coming over, or poachers in the region this year. Yeah, environmental changes in environmental patterns do affect mosquitoes and mosquito control.
And Dr. Wheel mentioned tides, and so recently the tides has been pretty low. But from what I understand and when I'm hearing the conversations amongst the teams as we are talking about what's going on around the islands, I believe the tides are coming up a little bit. So what does that mean?
The tides are coming up right now, which means there's always an egg, what we call an egg bank. There's eggs out in the swamp and other areas that are just waiting to be flooded to hatch. So it could be flooded by rain or tides. Now, the tides have been coming up for probably 4 to 5 days now. So we're expecting mosquitoes to come off. But in the background, we have been conducting our larvicide operations. So we've completed the peninsula, we've done north side. We're trying to get most of the island protected before any mosquito emergence happens. So this is what we call preventative mosquito control. The public don't see this work going on in the background.
Yeah, but they might have noticed the planes flying in the daytime instead of after sunset. Remember, 15 minutes after sunset is when we're doing the adulticiding operations with the aircraft and the ground foggers. But when you see the aircraft flying in the middle of the daytime, that is called the plane was doing larviciding. So if you looked at our Facebook page, I think last week or the week before, you'd have seen me post some stuff about the operations going on throughout the day in the West Bay area. And then over the weekend on Friday and Saturday, we had stuff going on Eastern area. Now, today and yesterday, Leo, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we're doing some parts of Bodden Town, correct?
Yeah, Bodden Town area. We analyzed the area today.
Yeah.
Yes. So Miss Cayman Kind here, this is Ramelia asking that they have 2 ponds in Windsor Park, and she's wondering if they're being visited on a regular basis.
So ponds, Leo,
well, the best approach is the person. I suggest the person that call us, give us the exact location, and we're going to send somebody to look for it.
But if it's a pond, we know where all the ponds are in Cayman. I mean, the ponds didn't just come up yesterday or anything like that. So anytime there's any body of water and stuff, yes, they're on our maps and they go into way into the dikes and other areas and the areas that we can't reach by foot, again, can be taken care of by the aircraft. So again, in terms of the geography, we certainly know the terrain quite well, and so things are definitely carried out in those areas.
So I'll add this too. Each individual location, we need to visit because they can have some specific nuances. But ponds in general aren't necessarily the where your mosquitoes are coming from. A pond may have other natural predators such as fish or frogs, or you may get some wave action through there that doesn't, isn't conducive to larval development. So a larger pond may not actually be a place where many mosquitoes are breeding. You may get more mosquitoes from a really small area than you would a large pond. That's not to say we wouldn't inspect it.
Yes. Okay. Melita says, Sandy, please ask why the spray smells like guava. I've never noticed it, but anyway, does it have a guava smell to it?
Yeah, I have heard that too. That's probably more of a question for the chemical manufacturer, not a.
All right. Fear No Evil says, please come by house number 25 in Windsor Park, Oak Mill Street. There's a house with pit water. I have a lot of mosquitoes there, and it's stinking out the whole place. So there's a request that maybe, Kevin, you could write down number 25 in Windsor Park, Oak Mill Street. So thank you, Fear No Evil. Shaka Zulu says, don't forget that our forefathers used to talk about mosquitoes have legendary, talk about Cayman having legendary mosquitoes that used to kill cows back in the day. Well, Shaka, you might have just been joining the show, but Kevin shared a picture and told us a very, very interesting fact that Cayman has the record. Here it is again, in case you guys miss it. Cayman has the record for the most number of mosquitoes collected overnight, I guess, is really what the record is. But look at this. Over 793, is that a 93? Mosquitoes were collected back in, it looks like May the 29th of 1974.
Yeah, that's 793,103.
Yes. I'm sorry, I forgot to read the rest of the number. Right, over 793,000. So yeah, those stories are not just legendary. It seems to me that they were in fact quite factual. So Mel here, animal lover, she said she did not appreciate the analogy regarding the pit bull. She's also a pit bull lover.
I did.
Don't worry.
Angry, they'll go straight for you. Trust me, I've ran from people's yards before.
Yeah.
All right. Mary says, so happy to have you guys on this morning. They should give the public a better understanding. This should give the public, a better understanding and appreciation for what they do. Keep up the amazing work to all.
Yeah, and that's why I'm here now, Sandy. They realize that, all this amazing work going on in the background, people didn't know about it. I certainly didn't even know about it. Yeah. And so when this opportunity came up for me, as you all know, I'm a very passionate communicator. I love to inform people about whatever it is that I'm working on. Yes, and so I wanted to make sure that I am bringing these voices. I mean, I'm not the subject matter expert. That's why I brought in the subject matter experts. And I just help them share the wonderful, amazing work that they're doing for the Cayman Islands. Again, we will not have a tourism product, and I'm stealing this from Leo because he told me this when he was giving me kind of the lay of the land on operations. We would not have a tourism product if we didn't have the MRCU, because the mosquitoes would be too bad, nobody would want to come here. Remember, if you go back in Cayman history and stuff, they talked about, people wasn't going to come to the Cayman Islands because that was mosquito land practically. And so, from where we were to where we are now, it's just night and day.
Yeah.
A comment as well, Sandy, is that we were founded in 1967, and it's always been a great control operation here. It's always been respected. But our biggest weakness, like every organization has a weak area, and it's been our public education and outreach. We've always, as a department, we've kept our head low because people either love us or hate us. We're spraying too much or we're not spraying enough.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Somehow the connection got lost there. So we still have the lab. I'm sure Kevin will jump back on here in a second. So they're sitting there doing their mosquito analysis. Wow, it's so fascinating to actually see them. I'm glad that Kevin actually set up a little camera connection there in the lab so that we can actually see them hard at work, so that you know, again, a little bit more about what they do. So Kevin, just jump back on. Looks like your connection dropped out. And then we're gonna wrap up here with him once he's back on with the team. So what is that little green thing? Can we inquire about what that green thing is? There. Oh, I think you, I don't know if you can unmute yourself. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. What is that?
This green thing here is one of our mosquito traps.
Oh, that's what the trap looks like. Okay.
So
Wow.
we have 24 on island, and they're out in various spots, usually closer to the bush where there's less light. I don't know if you can tell, there's a little bulb in here.
Yes.
And we connect the bottle to the end of it, and when the sun goes down, it runs off of solar. And there's a fan that runs inside of it. So the mosquitoes are attracted to the light, and then they go down into the fan, into the bottle.
It kind of works like a, so they're attracted to the light, and then they get sucked down the fan, kind of like a suction, like a vacuum cleaner, and then they end up in these little bottles right here, if you can see it. Yeah. And then that's what we count. Yeah.
That's fascinating. So every day you guys collect the 24 that are out there, and you start to count and separate and analyze what you found in the mosquito trap. Wow.
Every day.
So how many do you think, just based on, have you gotten to the point where you can kind of look at the numbers now and say to yourself, I bet this is roughly this many in this trap? Are you that good at counting yet?
Yes, we can kind of look at it and tell, but we will always go through to make sure.
Yes.
Just to make sure.
All right. Okay, so I know the connection there for some reason dropped out, your main connection. So I see your boss there jumping in on your stream. You can share.
I'm just letting you know we're working on the other side trying to get things connected.
Yeah. How often do you go in the lab?
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah, every day. Okay.
It won't come back, Sandy. I don't know what's going on, but
wanted to force you guys to come in the
dropped out
lab.
our conference room. So we've all decided to walk on over. I'm glad that we had this stream at least going.
Yeah. Absolutely. So the gentleman in the back in the lab coat and the gloves, what exactly are you doing back there? I see you with a little syringe, and it looks like you're having fun.
Yeah, so this is called a pipette. Just doing calibration. It's an instrument used to pick small volumes of liquids that we use for our lab analysis.
Oh, okay.
So just doing a calibration, making sure it's well maintained and it's working well, and it can pick the small volumes. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Oh my gosh. So Inspiring says, is it difficult to count? I mean, they must be all mashed up. So are you able to separate them to count them individually? How easy is that part?
I guess for a person who isn't used to it, it can be quite difficult. However, since we do this every day, it becomes a bit therapeutic, really, to do it every morning.
I don't know if Whitney spoke, but her mom actually used to work here, and
for 40 years.
So Whitney, what's your history and your mom's history here?
So my mom worked at MRCU for 40 years, and she was taught how to identify mosquitoes by the late Dr. Giglioli. So it is definitely some knowledge that has been passed down from generation to generation.
Yes.
Myself and Storm, we would be considered third generation counters.
Yes.
So it's like what Storm was saying. It's definitely therapeutic for her and I. Sometimes we have to laugh because we're having so much fun that sometimes we forget to separate, like, work from just talking to each other while, it's a really good environment here. It really is.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Any music in the background there to help, or you just stay focused on counting?
Actually, we do listen to music. We actually do listen to music in the lab. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Well, we want to really thank all of you this morning. I think definitely our audience, I can tell I was saying to Kevin that, Kevin, your numbers were impressive this morning in terms of viewer numbers, because sometimes when we get into a bit more of an educational discussion, we see the numbers kind of taper off a little bit. But your numbers continually increase this morning. I think at one point you had close to 350 on the live stream of people just, just interested really in the discussion and learning as much as they can on what is World Mosquito Day. So big shout out to MRCU, Dr. Alan Wheeler. He is a PhD and director over there, and the entire team. Everybody has a very, very important role to play in keeping all the elements of this moving. And congratulations, Kevin. Of course, a lot of people are like, wait a minute, Kevin's back in Cayman. So
yes, I was just telling some friends that, now they're going to really realize that I've moved back. I'm no longer at the University of South Florida. I'm no longer in Florida. Dr. Wheeler was gracious enough to offer me this position. And so I'm, again, the Public Education Outreach Officer for MRCU. And so I'm here, I'm back home. I'm glad to be home. And you're going to be seeing a lot more of me. And again, thank you for allowing us to come on and share the amazing work that's going on. I really love working with this team. The team has so many different elements to it, and everybody does such an amazing job. And really and truly, they make my job so much easier because everyone seems to be on fire about what they do. And so I'm there to bring their work to you.
Absolutely. And we'll continue to look out for your outreach programs.
One other kind of closing thing, this is only a small part of our team. The really important part of our team, they're the ones that are out in the field working right now. Our pilots are up in the air doing some applications, and our DPOs, they're out in the field doing home inspections. So I want to make sure to give them a shout out too.
Yeah, wonderful. So Marina says, what a lovely bunch of professional people keeping us safe. And so on that note, again, we want to thank all of you very, very much. Kevin, let's just go around the room and name everyone else for me. Name everyone again.
In the corner here, you got to scoot on in, Dr. Wheeler. Dr. Alan Wheeler is the director of the MRCU, and I'll let everybody kind of introduce themselves as well as we go to Cole.
Yeah, so I'm Cole Morgan. I've been working here for 7 years, and I'm a research officer now. Having a lot of fun.
Wow.
My name is Everest Mbala, research officer.
My name is Leonardo Rodriguez. I'm the ground operation manager working for the mosquito research for 29 years.
Wow.
Okay, my name is Whitney. I'm one of the lab techs, and I've been working here for like about 6 years now.
Wow. And third generation counter.
Yes, ma'am. My mother worked here for 40 years, so it's definitely something that I very easily stepped into. Honestly, I've been around all of this my whole life, basically. So it was very natural to step into this role, to be honest.
And people might wonder, who your mama?
My mom's name is Miss Zoila, and she was actually over in the BRAC for a short period working over there, and she is now happily retired. That's
wonderful. Very good.
Go ahead, Andre.
Oh yeah, my name is Andre Yates. I'm a disease prevention officer, and I haven't really been here that long. I could say about 11 months, but I'm happy to be here, and I really love the team.
Awesome.
Chris New, I'm our Deputy Director of Research and Ground Operations, but I've been here about a year and a half. It came with 21 years of experience in mosquito control in the United States.
And I'm Storm McLean, and I've been here for about 6 years, and I'm entomology lab technician.
Yep. And I want to also mention that unfortunately, and I wanted to have them on, but unfortunately, our primary, the supervisor over in Cayman, Shauna McFarland, she's on vacation this week, a well-earned vacation, because she works so hard over there with her very, very small team. There are a few people, 3 people over in the back, and we're currently finalizing some recruitment for someone who's over in Little Cayman. The person who was in Little Cayman actually received the promotion, is now in Grand Cayman, so we're in the process of finalizing the recruitment for the person over in Little Cayman operations. But in the back, Shauna and her team do an amazing job. But because they're so small, I couldn't pull them from, to join on Shauna's behalf, because they got work to do. They got to keep the mosquitoes down in the back too, not just Grand Cayman. So they're unable to join, but I want to say a good shout out to them as well too, because they a few of us was over in the back for me to also kind of see the operations and stuff over there. Again, they have a small and amazing team as well.
All right, so Juliet says, welcome home, Kevin, and thanks to MRCU for the information. Mariana also says, welcome home, Kevin. So thank you very, very much to the MRCU team. the ones who are present today, as well as everybody else who, you know, isn't even on the screen. They all, again, collectively are keeping us as mosquito free as possible. And you know, mosquitoes are so pesky. There's like a quote about mosquitoes about the power of one. You know, like when you think that one person or one thing can't make a difference, be in the room alone with one single mosquito, and you'll know how powerful one is. Just one mosquito can really drive you crazy. So again, thank you guys so much, and happy World Mosquito Day.
Happy World Mosquito
Happy
Day.
World Mosquito Day. Bye.
All right, thanks again. All right, folks, there you have it. The MRCU team, Kevin arranged for them to come onto the program. And I'm so glad that you guys enjoyed that segment. And like I said, I can tell when y'all really enjoying something. Well received.